I'm Sam.
I'm Ellie.
Welcome to Bread, Heels, and Babies,
where two best friends discuss the vagaries and ass hattery of life.
Shit.
You said, we're going to wait until you finish that book to talk about the meltdown method.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Oh my gosh, I do not think I can do that anymore. I have met my crying quota this week, and I just can't handle it. And all it's done is made me feel guilty that, like, okay, this meltdown is happening because I haven't connected enough with the toddler.
So the book we're talking about is Peaceful Parenting, Happy Kids. It's by Dr. Laura Markham. Maybe you're going to have to turn that down. Can you hear her computer?
No.
We're talking about this book that I read some of. I haven't finished it. I need to check it out for the third time to try and finish it. But like the whole idea is you shouldn't have to punish your kids. You should be able to, like, if you can connect with them and empathize with them, like, not that you don't set boundaries and have consequences and stuff, but like, I think the theory is you don't punish their emotions. Like, you can teach them to act better than they're acting without being like, you're not allowed to be sad. I don't know. Parts of it I love, and it's research-based, which I love. And she talks about, like, the neural pathways of you as a parent, and like when they're freaking out and it makes you, like, when you can feel your blood pressure rising and you're like, I'm going to freak out at you, which is half the time when I call you. Or Jordan and I make the face at each other like I'm about to, and she's saying, like, the more you can snap yourself out of that mode and be calm, the more you rewire your own brain to be able to handle them without getting triggered. And then you can teach them to rewire to be able to handle emotions without, like, it's okay to have your feelings, but you can't be a jerk about it, basically. Which I get all of, like, I agree with it, but then when I try and put her stuff into practice.
When I was reading the article that you sent me, and then I was reading, like, the comments and then, like, her advice to the people that were commenting and stuff, what she's saying totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Logically, it totally makes sense, and I understand. And, like, somebody commented, like, well, how do I handle the meltdown getting the toddler into the car seat because we need to be somewhere, we need to either pick up the older kid or drop off the older kid for something at a certain time, and so the meltdown is going to get in the way of, like, something I need to do for another child. So I can't just, like, let the toddler have that full meltdown however they need to do it and experience it, because we don't have time. And the author's response was that you have to do preventative maintenance. Like, you need to do more connection with that child in advance so that those meltdowns don't occur. So what that makes me feel like is just, like, when their meltdowns are happening, then I just feel like, well, I've just obviously been a crap parent and I haven't. But I was thinking about, I'm like, I don't think that's true. Like, I've been working really hard to make sure that the middle child gets a lot of special attention and stuff like that. And it's not just a once in a while meltdown. It's just, like, an all the time, like, every little thing. Like, even things that aren't meltdowns, like, do you want a popsicle? No! And then, like, a couple minutes later, I do want a popsicle. Like, want a popsicle. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just, like, or like, you don't know if you're supposed to cut the food or not.
Right.
Like, no, don't cut it. And it's like this full-on explosion of meltdown. And then, like, 5 seconds later, could you cut it, please? Like, it's just
crazy making. It's crazy making.
Yes.
Yeah. And I
can't elicit a cry. And you and I have talked about this before, like, the idea that there are things that you should cry about and things that you don't. And I understand what she's saying, and I don't want to make any of them feel like their emotions aren't valid. Also, like, everything can't be emotional.
Yeah.
Want to cry? Okay.
Yeah, I definitely get torn between, like, I want to connect with them and I want to see it from their point of view, and I want to help them, like, I want to help them learn how to manage it themselves. Like, this is what I'm feeling, this is maybe why, this is how I can handle it, so that they like have that like self-awareness and that presence of mind to not, to like hopefully not freak out forever. But also, like, part of me feels like that stern, like, old school stuff, there's some merit to that.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
maybe not every feeling needs to be validated. And that has definitely, her book has helped me a lot just in that department of, like, I used to really struggle with, like, I don't know I'm sure there's a term for it, like a psychology, cool parenting term, but like when they would get upset about something, I would get upset. I would get worked up over even like stupid stuff. And so, and one of her mantras in there is, this is not an emergency. And so I tell myself that all the time. I'm like, this is not an emergency. They're upset, but like, it's given me some distance. I took some notes.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
So one of the things I really liked was she talks about how, like, you're the North Star for the kids. Like, that was the phrase she used. And she's like, if you're at a park with your toddler and they're like playing and you're sitting at a bench, when they're not looking, just move like one bench over. And they won't probably get upset, but they'll probably just come in and check in with you. And then they'll go play some more, because like the center of their world moved and they have to like reorbit, like readjust their orbit. It was so cute. And it kind of makes sense. I get that. And she was saying, like, because their brains aren't wired all the way, they don't have the mental tools and the structure in their brain yet to deal with the giant emotions. I think that's her big thing, is like, the big feelings are so overwhelming for them that when you're being present with them and like connecting with them in the moment, you're teaching them, like, you're wiring their brain. The quote I wrote down is, they don't have the mental ability to manage big feelings yet, so you provide that support. You're like building the scaffolding and teaching their brains how they're supposed to handle it, which is awesome. And
so in that moment, other than empathizing with how they're feeling, to create that scaffolding and to teach them how to deal with it, what does she say you're supposed to do for them to show them how to move through it?
She has like a several step process that I can't remember at the time, but the first step is always like, connect with them, because you can't teach them anything when they're in fight or flight mode. Like, they can't hear you and they can't process your logical explanation and your rules and stuff. So you just gotta like get like face to face with them and hug them, or be like, hey, I'm just here. I'm here until you're done. You know, I think is kind of the ideal. And then like, the basics that I wrote down are, be loving and witness the emotions. So like, you don't have to feel it. You don't have to get worked up. And like, that helps me a lot when she says, this isn't an emergency. Because for me, I get ramped up too.
Yeah.
And she says, if you can, instead of mirroring their crazy, you let them mirror your calmness and their little mirror neurons. It like teaches them, that way of coping, I guess.
Okay.
But like, in a moment of crisis, that's kind of a long drawn out process, that at home, that's great.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you apply that when you're on an airplane or in a restaurant, or, you know.
And part of me is also thinking about conditioning, right? And I'm thinking, okay, so if you condition them that every time they have a big emotion, somebody has to be there with them to, to be there with them through it and like to witness it, and they need an audience for it, then what is that going to create later, though? That like they can have this big meltdown over nothing or everything. In this case, it's everything. You know what I mean? If I teach him, if he's constantly having a meltdown and I'm just there like, it's okay. It's going to be fine. Let it out. Be upset at the straw. I understand you wanted a blue straw and there are no more blue straws, but go ahead. Be pissed about the world. Like, and you know, every time, I mean, isn't that something he's going to learn to expect?
Right.
And what am I setting him up for? Like, other people in the world are not going to Batman.
Hey, buddy.
Other people in the world are not going to react that way to that kind of behavior. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a full-on breakdown about every little thing. She does see your shirt.
I'm your shirt, Liam. Are you Batman?
Yes, the black bat.
Yeah. That's so cool, dude.
Yeah, that's my back, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, goes all the way around. You want to go watch the show with Sissy? So I can finish my phone call. You want one more grape? You want applesauce instead? You want one more grape? Okay. Quick. Okay, there you go. Have your quick.
And I thought about that too. Like, are we just making more like ultra millennials?
I think of specific people that I know, or you know, or family members that don't handle things well, and have a big emotional show of everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's world to stop to deal with their emotions, and I don't want to create that or reinforce that. And I understand that they're little right now, and what she's saying about their brains aren't developed yet. I get that, but I don't want to develop it. I don't want to help develop it to stay that way, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's a delicate balance, because you don't want to tell them that their feelings aren't valid, you know, and or like that they need to feel alone or that you don't care. But I also don't want it to be like everything can be a freak out. Like, some things don't need a big emotional response. And maybe that's the scaffolding, is to say, like, hey, I understand you're upset. This isn't something we need to be upset about. Like, I don't know. I mean, can we combine her concept of scaffolding with, like, hey, let's, you know, chill out about this and save this ad for something more important?
I totally see that. And there have been times when, like, Olivia's been upset about something because she's 6. She's getting to where she needs to be able to cope with stuff, you know? And I'll be, like, trying to empathize with her, and he'll be just like, no, you need to not act like that. And she's like, okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
And I think we just got lucky with baby 1, because she's not like that. She's just super like, okay, I'm cool. Look, I didn't get the color I wanted. Oh well, love you know. Like, I'm gonna go do something else.
Yeah.
That was anything that we did. I think that she's just super chill. But I want to figure out how to make that happen for the other 2. You know what I mean? She's more chill than I am as an adult about some stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I do. And I know I'm complaining a lot about baby 2. But I think part of it is because he's a lot like me. Like, he's very, like, he wants things a certain way, and he wants it just so, and he gets really emotional if it's not that way, and he gets overwhelmed, and I get that. And so I feel very connected to him on that. But I also think that I want to help him do better, you know, than I process things. And I don't know.
And I think she says in the book that the research shows that kids who have big feelings and their parents go through this process with them, like, in the long run, they end up more self-possessed and, like, more able to handle themselves. But I would love to see that backed up somewhere else too, because I don't know.
I don't know how that would happen, like, logically.
Right.
How they move. I understand the modeling part. Like, if you model for them that when they're in crisis, you're calm. Like, I get that logically. Like, okay, they're in a crisis, you stay calm and you know, chill and be there with them, and you can even articulate the, like, I get what you're feeling, and yada yada, and you stay calm, and they learn that, like, okay, I can be calm when things are intense.
Right.
And if you, like, when we're going through something, if we stay calm, which I need to work on that, if we stay calm and model that, I could see where that could translate into better for the future. I just don't understand, like, where's the bridge piece between them having and learning to process, you know what I mean?
And I feel like I don't like she says you shouldn't use timeout and you really shouldn't have to discipline or consequence, but you have to have some boundaries. I feel like you can't just like let them ride roughshod over everything. And how do you do that if it's not by, I mean, like sometimes when they're upset, I'll be like, I'm sorry, man, that really sucks. I can't change that. And these are your options, you know?
How do you, and I get, and that's great. And so take her philosophy, imagine it's perfect and it totally works, and shoot it ahead into school years, and then shoot it ahead beyond that into just like citizenship. The world is created with consequences, though, for
Yeah.
So is her assumption just that they're never gonna like break a rule, or they're never gonna struggle with boundaries? Because even if you behave that way with them and they are listening to you and all of that, like what happens if they get in trouble at school and they end up like missing recess? Is the assumption that they'll never get in trouble? And like, when do they get to practice like, oh crap, there's a consequence for what I did wrong? Like,
yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about it like that specifically. That's totally true. That's not going to apply everywhere. Like even if we do that in our houses, which I'm not even convinced is ideal.
Yeah.
They're going to have to learn it somewhere.
I love that idea that you would never have to punish them. I love that idea. And I love that idea that like if we're connected with them enough, or like, there's a mutual respect there and understanding that, I can create boundaries that make sense and have logic behind them, and you can understand that logic, and therefore you're like, okay, I don't want to go to bed, but I understand the reason that I need to go to bed at this time and that it's good for me and yada yada, and then everything's like kumbaya. But I don't.
Oh, that's realistic though.
No, I would love to get my police officer husband's input on the future of this.
And like, I don't know how you feel about the because I said so, but I'm not above whipping that out. And I do sometimes feel like there are times when I will empathize with you or like try and reason, or like we'll discuss the options, and sometimes you just have to do what I say. You just do. I'm sorry, man. You just have to listen to me when I tell you something.
Yeah.
That's an important skill.
That translates very well into the future. I mean, I don't want to create sheep that just like go along with authority in general. I understand that. Like, it's okay to ask questions like, why do I have to do this, and push the boundaries, but it doesn't mean that you get out of it. Like, even if you disagree with it, you don't just get out of it. Even in society, there's a process. We have to create laws and vote and make change. You don't just get to like, I disagree, so peace. So, for instance, there's this new thing. I don't know if it's new or not, but there's these people that my husband has run into, and they call themselves sovereign citizens.
Oh shit!
And they're like, they've decided to not. They're Americans, but they've decided to not be Americans. But
that sounds great. They sound delightful.
They're just like people that have decided, I don't want to follow the American rules. I'm my own entity, so I don't have to. So he's like, pull people over for like running a red light. And they're like, oh, you can't give me a ticket or anything because I'm not a citizen of America. I don't have to follow the rules. And I was like, that makes sense. Like, even if I go to Italy, I'm not an Italian citizen, but I still have to follow the rules while I'm in Italy.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, I hate the idea of like creating people that are like, I don't agree. I'm not.
Yeah, I don't want to raise assholes. I don't.
Okay. Or children that can't handle disappointment.
Yeah.
Or they can't handle being alone. Or they can't handle, you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Or they like need to be validated all the time.
Yeah. I'm just picturing some very whiny adults.
Yeah.
And I myself have had trouble with that. You know what I mean? Like, I've had trouble with that. Like, if I'm really upset, like, I do that to you. I call you all the time. Like, be upset with me. Like,
well, I don't mind. It's fine for me.
But what happens if you're busy? You know what I mean? Like, be able to, like,
fair enough.
Saddest face ever.
Oh, buddy. Hey, baby.
Baker. I thought he was down before because he wanted down, but.
Oh, he's so cute. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. You need to read this book with me because I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it. There's got to be some, like when it's so frustrating because when I'm reading it, I'm like, this makes so much sense. Like you were saying about her blog post that we read, like I totally get it. I want to do it, and then it kind of falls apart.
When I was reading it, it sounded so logical and so easy. And maybe I just need to like, maybe print it out or maybe take some notes myself and like put them up somewhere that I can see them, because maybe there's a logic hole that I'm forgetting that's actually already taken care of, and maybe I should just read the whole book.
We should get like your grandpa and all the grandmas and all the real adults in our lives to read it. What they think.
The real adults. Yes, we could have like a little grandparent roundtable.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Like that. Yeah.
We'll just have like a hangout session with a bunch of them.
I love it.
It'd be perfect. I foresee my mom going, "This is bullshit."
I actually already talked to Grandpa about it a little bit. And,
what did he say?
He thinks in general, I think that we're overthinking it. He said that we're overthinking parenting in general, and that as long as you love them and are taking care of them, that it's going to be okay. And he's had 4 kids, and he basically, was like, they're all really different, and the things that you do for one kid are not going to work for another kid, and you just need to be flexible and love them, and it'll be fine.
Thanks for watching this episode of Red Heels and Babies. You can check back for new episodes every other week on our YouTube channel. See you next time.
You gotta keep up.